Alright, welcome to a video on multiplication and division of integers. Now, in this video I'm not going to be going through long division. I'm not going to be going through all the steps on how to multiply. This is something that you have done in previous classes. We're just going to kind of review the basic rules so that you can get a refresher of those. And like always, you are welcome to use a calculator in my class, but it is nice for you to know these rules so just in case you mistype in the calculator, you'll know that something is a little bit off. So we're going to look at the rules of multiplication. So we're going to start up here in the upper left-hand corner box. We are multiplying a positive number times a positive number. So let's say we have 3 times 2. Well, 3 times 2 is 6, and it is a positive 6. So if you multiply two positives, that equals a positive. Now we're going to do the upper right hand corner, which is positive number times a negative number. So let's take positive 3 times negative 4. Well, if you put that in the calculator, it gives you negative 12. So a positive times a negative is negative. Now we're going to do a negative number times a positive number. So let's take negative 2 times positive 6. Negative 2 times positive 6 is again negative 12. So if you do a negative times a positive, that's also negative. And last, we have a negative number times a negative number. So let's take negative 3 times negative 7. Negative 3 times negative 7, if you plug that in the calculator, you get 21. So that means that two negatives equal a positive. So whenever you're doing your multiplication, you need to know that two positives are positive, a positive and negative is a negative times a positive is negative, and two negatives equal a positive. Now we're also going to look at the number negative 1. The number negative 1 is special because when you multiply by negative 1, it changes the signs of things. So we call negative 1 the switcher. It switches the signs. So if we look up here, we have 2 times negative 1. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. So it switched once from positive to negative. If we do 2 times negative 1 here, we get a negative 2. But we have that other negative 1 left over. So we have to multiply again, and that switches it again, so it becomes a positive 2. So here we have 2 times negative 1, so we get that negative 2. Then we have two negative 1s after it. We do this, we get that positive 2, but we still have one negative 1 left, which means it is a negative 2 now. Now I don't have enough room to go through and do that whole thing with this last one, but these two make it positive, this makes it negative, this makes it positive, this makes it, oh, I'm sorry, silly me, this makes it negative, this makes it positive, this makes it negative again, and this switches it back to a positive. Props to you if you caught me doing that wrong before I switched it. So that means that we get a positive 2 at the end. So the rule of thumb to follow is this. If you have an odd number of negatives, then you're going to get a negative number. We had one negative 1, we got a negative 2. We had 3, we got a negative. If we had 5, we get a negative. If there's an even number, it turns into a positive. So here we got a positive, here we got a positive. If we had 6 negative 1s, we'd have a positive 2 again. Now we're going to look at the rules of division. So in the upper left hand corner we have a positive divided by a positive. So let's take positive 8 divided by positive 2. Positive 8 divided by 2 is 4. So it is positive. Now I'm also going to do this. Let's take 12 divided by, not 4, let's do 12 divided by 8. Now, if you were to type 12 divided by 8 in a calculator, you are going to get a decimal. Well, let's say I don't want a decimal. Let's say I want a fraction. So what you're going to do is you're going to simplify this. That means, what can I divide both of these by? The biggest number I can divide them both by. Well, I know I can divide them by 2, but I wonder if there's something bigger. So I try 4. And you find out that if you divide them both by 4, you get 3 over 2. There we go. So whenever you're working in this class, you are going to have some fractions that I want to stay as fractions. So keep this in mind. Now for the rest of the video, we're just going to have nice numbers. So we have positive divided by negative. So let's take 16 divided by negative 4. Well, if you do 16 divided by negative 4 in the calculator, you are going to get a negative 4. So a positive divided by a negative is a negative. So let's do a negative divided by a positive. So let's do negative 9 divided by positive 3. And you'll find out in the calculator that you get a negative 3. So this box gives us a negative. Last but not least, we have a negative divided by a negative. So let's do negative 6 divided by negative 3. You plug that in your handy calculator and you get a positive 2. So two negatives give us a positive here as well. So that is multiplication and division of integers. So go ahead and try some practice problems.